Hello, I'm Toluca from Markers and Minions. Thank you for joining me on this live video. I'm doing my more lengthy Plan With Me videos every other week, and on the other Sundays, I'm just doing these more casual Q&A type videos where we talk about certain topics. For me specifically, what I need to work through right now is my small groups and my centers because I'm still not happy with those. So I want to talk about those for a little bit and see if I can get ideas from you guys and see if I can work through some of this just by talking about it. And then if you have any questions, we can go over any kind of questions. I can try to answer them for you. So this is much more casual, this session, so like hop on, ask a question, get it answered, hop off, that kind of thing. You don't need anything prepped for this since it's not a plan with me. So just to kind of update you all with some group news. Those of you that are new, we have a files tab and we have a videos tab, and those tabs are going to be your best friend. So if you click on the Files tab, you're going to find resources that people have shared. We have like some lessons on there, and we've got my vocabulary picture cards. So those picture cards, by the way, I've uploaded Unit 3 and Unit 4 for grades K through 5. I don't have them for 6th grade. I'm sorry. But those are great because it's every vocabulary word that's from your unit has a picture that goes with it. Our ELD specialist made them, so you can use them for ELD or you can use them whole class. I like to use them whole class for everybody. So those are there under the Files tab. And if you're looking on your desktop, I think it's the same for everybody. If you're looking on the desktop, it'll be on your left-hand side. So you'll see the group name, and then you'll see a bunch of different tabs, and there's files, and then underneath that there's videos. So any video that I film or any video that is uploaded will be archived in there. So, for example, I just filmed a video of me teaching my character poster to introduce Unit 2. So regardless of what grade you teach, that poster and that strategy specifically can be adapted for you, and it's a really great strategy to introduce new concepts. It's really fun, and it's quick. So I posted that. That should be there. These videos will be there as well. So new members, if you are just joining, be sure to check out those tabs. You're going to get a lot of your questions answered just by experimenting with those, the Files tab and the Videos tab. Okay, so let's talk about small groups. I'm changing mine again. I have these that are on my TPT shop. You can download this for free. It's just a grid. I got it blown up and everything, and then we decided that we want to change this again. So these initially were homogeneous groups, low, medium, low, medium, high, and high. And then we were talking about it, my team and I, and we were thinking, like, how are the kids going to be able to complete some of these tasks if they're in a homogeneous group? So we decided, we're GLAD teachers, Project GLAD teachers. We were going to incorporate the whole idea of having your team and then having your expert groups. So this might sound foreign for some of you, but it'll make sense in just a minute. Okay, this is really ugly because this is just my notes. But so your teams down here are going to be homogeneous. Ignore this part. I messed up this part. Heterogeneous. So I'm going to have 4 teams, the ones that are circled. And I've got highs, lows, medium highs in each one. And then I've got a leader in each one. So the highlighted one are my leader kids. So these are the teams that they're going to stick with as they're going through the centers every day. So when they visit that station, it's heterogeneous. So that way they're working independently, they're leaving me alone because I'm with my small group. And if they're confused, they can ask one of their leaders, or like a student that's higher can help them out. With that said, for reading then, we are having something called expert groups. And these are homogeneous. So I have my lows, medium highs, and highs. It's going to be a jumbo group that day. And every day I'm going to meet with one of these groups. I'm going to meet with my lows Mondays and Fridays. And these kids are going to be pulled out of their team that day, and they're going to come sit with me. So a student from each team is going to be missing every day because they are meeting with me. We're doing RTI, also similar to that. We have RTI for writing, where we're going to actually have a teacher push in. And she's going to be taking homogeneous groups based on writing ability, and those kids are going to be pulled out as well. And those kids are actually going to go for the entire week. That's their center for the whole week, is just writing with the RTI teacher. These reading groups, as soon as I'm done reading with them that day, the next day they can go back to their team and do the centers. So I hope that was clear. This is just mind-boggling to me. I'm so bad with stuff like this, but good thing I have an awesome team that understands this. So with that said, our centers, we're going to have 5 centers. So the first one we're going to stick with, we're going to have our word work, read to self, work on writing, the tech center. Those are all going to be the same that I talked about in the last video. So in word work, the kids are going to be working on the pamphlet. And this past week, we introduced each group, and we spent one day a week just honing in on that one center, just so the kids are used to it. So like word work, I think we did it Thursday, and I was noticing that my low kids could not do this on their own. So that's why, that was another reason for the restructuring. So in word work, they're going to be practicing their grammar and spelling. These are on my TPT shop. And afterwards, they're going to be making vocabulary squares and practicing their dictionary skills, looking at the vocabulary words. And I have the vocabulary words on my focus wall, so they'll be able to just leave me alone, draw a vocab square, really easy. They have dictionaries. And then I was thinking of having just random sorts put out specific to that week's skill, something that's low prep, because I don't have any more room in my brain for prepping for these centers. So just like a simple T-chart or word sort, I'm going to try to adapt that for each week, so that if they happen to breeze through their vocabulary squares, then they've got something else they can work on. And then I can switch it up too, so they don't get too bored. In the Read to Self Center, I'm going to have them answering the text-dependent questions on the bookmarks that I made. Those are on my TPT shop also for grades 2 through 6. Those bookmarks are awesome. They have 2 or 3 questions per story in the text for close reading. So during that Read to Self Center, they're going to have their text for close reading, and they're going to, annotate, answer those questions. Then when they're done with that, they can have their free choice reading. So whatever their library book for the week is that week, that's what they'll read. In the writing station, we're going to be doing our weekly prompts. So someone asked about this. On Mondays, we're going to be analyzing the prompt, if I like the prompt. Sometimes I don't like the benchmark prompts and I leave them out. If I like it, if it's interesting, then we'll analyze it. We'll talk about what kind of writing, what they're going to need to use as their source to bring in evidence. We might even pull a couple of lines that might work well. And then Tuesday, I might model it depending on the complexity of the writing. If it's I know Unit 1, Week 1 was a letter. I didn't really need to model that for my 3rd graders. But for Unit 2, Week 1, they have to write a fable. So I am going to have to model that on Tuesday. And then that's all I'm doing whole class. I'm not going to actually have them do their drafting during whole class. They're going to be taking it to their center and working on that in the writing center. If I end up not doing the weekly prompt that week, I'm going to just have them do some form of creative writing, probably just related to the season, because that's really easy to think of off the top of my head, low prep. And then I also do something called the Big Cheese. We do that every morning, and it's a whole class writing, collaborative writing that we do. And sometimes I have students that don't finish that during our 15-minute block. So that's something that they can also catch up on in their writing center. What else? We're having a technology center, which is driving me crazy right now because we just got these Chromebooks passed down to us from the middle schools, and they are just really hard. I don't know how you one-to-one teachers do it. Please tell me it gets easier. But we are going to do a tech center. They're going to be using the online component of Benchmark to have the stories read to them. And they're also going to be doing a Google Slides activity file that I created for them. I assigned it to them on Google Classroom, and they can work through that. They can do one slide a week, a center. So that should last me a long time. Low prep there. And then for the fifth center before was meet with the teacher. But now since they're homogeneous groups and I'm pulling from each team, that can't really be a center. And this is where it gets so hard for me to understand the scheduling. I have to like be in it to really understand it. But for that fifth center, I'm thinking I will incorporate some kind of art or science. Maybe just put our science books out there and say, read this chapter, have fun with it, answer these questions, just to bring that in a little bit more. Or I just did a training at LACMA, and I love art and I love bringing in art. So even just having a center where I say just focus on the illustrations in our story, or here's this Frida Kahlo painting or whatever, and then have them do some kind of assignment around that. I really like that for an idea as well. My colleague thought of like maybe having it be like a catch-up center, so whatever they missed that week, which I like the idea of that too, but I don't really see how it's going to work. So let me know what your centers are. I'd love to know, and maybe I can adjust these because I'm still not 100% sold on these. Next week, I'm going to be like going live with them. I'm going to have them doing their centers, and I'm going to just watch. So I'm not going to be pulling a group. I'm going to just circulate, troubleshoot, and actually just see what it looks like. And I also have a sub for 2 days next week, so that's another reason why I don't really want to start pulling my guided reading group yet. So yeah, that's it. What do you guys think? Does this make sense, having these kinds of groups? Yeah, a science center, right? Wouldn't that be fun? Because we already don't have time for science and social studies as it is. So maybe extending, especially those nonfiction units, like Unit 3 is awesome, life science for Benchmark. Maybe extending that somehow in a center. Brain pop for the tech center. That's a good idea. I think that requires a subscription, right? I know we just got a subscription to something online. Yes, Vicky, I took a screenshot of this poster from your video. Yeah, share it. Let's see it. Let's see it. So I'll let you guys know. And if my kids are doing well next week as they're going through it, I'll try to go film it and show you what it looks like and post that for you guys. I'm really excited about the week 2 writing assignment. Our RTI teacher is pulling our medium-high writers and walking them through the fable while the rest of my kids try to do it in their writing center. Oh yeah, Reader's Theater. I forgot our program has these awesome Reader's Theater books. And I'm always thinking, like, when will I have time to bring those in? So that's a good idea. If you don't mind it being loud during your centers, that might be a go out in the hallway kind of center. Along with me. Yeah. Yeah, right? Heterogeneous groups. It seems like that's the only way that it's going to work. I have such a range of kiddos, and I just don't have an independent class this year. Last year I had a combo class, and they were all independent. They could teach themselves. It was amazing. But yeah, my kids can't be trusted in centers yet. Okay. A language, a novel study center. How do you do that, Tiffany, a novel study center? Do you have them bring their novel to you when you meet with them that week? The other thing is my centers are going to be 1 center a day, 30 minutes. I know some teachers like to do more of like the daily 5 approach, where I think, I could be wrong, where you do a couple rotations. And I know Benchmark, I think they want you to do a couple rotations a day. Like have centers and then come back whole class and then have centers again, which would be great if we were doing language arts all day. But Krista, I will help you find the vocabulary picture file cards. So under our files tab, I've just uploaded unit 3 and 4, and I was smart this time around, and I uploaded them as a zipped file. So it's literally uploaded as one file, all the grade levels in that zip. And for unit 1 and unit 2, I uploaded individual ones, and they kind of got drowned out. So you might have to scroll way down. Seat work. Well, that kind of reminds me, another idea for the center is have like a research center for that 5th center. If we're doing, like for unit 3, I love having them research an animal for their animal reports. And so that would be a good idea for a center. That was a text from my partner teacher. She says, we do have brain pop. Thank you. See, you're watching my video. What else? So I've seen a lot around assessment. Also, everyone always has questions around assessment. For unit 1, I walked my students through each test, and I read it to them. I had them annotate. I read them the questions, and then I actually modeled it, like the thinking process for finding the right answer, and how someone named Nancy on here called it a pothole question. I loved that because there can be a runner-up answer that sounds really good, and sometimes it's not the best answer. So that's what I really spent time focusing on with my kids for the first few tests. And they took their unit 1 assessment over the course of their 4th week, which was this last week. They did like 6 questions a day, because otherwise it's too jumbo of a test, it's too much. And by Friday morning, they finished the entire test, and then we have computer lab on Friday afternoons, and I actually had them go and input their answers into the computer so that the computer will grade most of them for me. And then I'll just go in and grade the writing separately. And if you don't know how to assign a test online to a student, or how to score those written components, or how to then analyze the results, I have a video for you under the videos tab that I uploaded not long ago. Our district told teachers that the benchmark rep said not to use the weekly assessments. Why would they say that? Do you use the weeklies for a grade? I do the weeklies. The weekly assessments assess just what's taught that week. So it's a really good snapshot for you to see if they understood the skills. And I use part of them as a grade, but I don't use paper pencil tests as the only piece of data for my report card grades. I look at like their reading levels and the progress they've made there, and just informal assessment. Yeah, that's weird, Megan. I would totally give those weekly assessments, especially because they're only like 10 questions and they're really fast. Tiffany, 4 weeks per unit, typically, yes. I like to do the 3 weeks from benchmark, and then that 4th week I take off to give that unit assessment because it's so long. And then I also do the inquiry-based project during that 4th week. In our district, we just have to have certain units completed each trimester. It doesn't matter what order it's in, and it's usually more than enough time. So I can usually do that 4 weeks off. Last year I did the 4th week off for each unit, and by the SBAC, I can never remember. I think I made it to the weather unit, which was 8. And then after the SBAC, we did one more unit. So we didn't do all 10, but it was more than enough. I felt they were prepared. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit in all 10 units. But someone has been saying on this site that if you teach all the way up to Unit 7, then they've learned all their standards, all the skills for the year. I can't like confirm that because I haven't really looked at it that way, but that's kind of interesting to know, right? So if you only make it to Unit 7, then you can assume that you've taught everything you need to teach. Confused. We give the SBAC March or April, end of March or end of April. This is my second year with Benchmark. What units would I cut out if I had to? It's hard. I like Unit 1, even though everyone else is like, gives Unit 1 a lot of slack, but I like it for the beginning of the year. Unit 2 is awesome. Unit 3 is probably my favorite. Unit 4 is really fun, like probably my second favorite. It's teaching perspectives. Unit 5 is technology. I went all out with that with the GLAD unit. That was fun. Unit 6 is, it's fiction. What is it? I can't remember that one, so maybe I'd leave that one out. Unit 7, is that the weather one? The weather one's fun. I like all the nonfiction units for sure. Oh, poetry's hitting 9 or 10. There is a little bit of poetry though within the other units. Certainly not a whole unit on poetry. But for example, in Unit 2 for 3rd grade, we have a poem next week for Unit 2, Week 1. It's The Ballad of John Henry and then The Village Blacksmith. So we're going to talk about poetry features in that. Unit 6, Making Decisions. Yeah, I don't really remember that. Sounds kind of fun. I teach 3rd grade, and last year I did a 2-3 combo. So that's where most of my perspective's coming from, 2nd and 3rd grade. Megan, that's interesting. I know some teachers have considered doing Unit 1 later in the year because it is so content heavy and it's rigorous, and a lot of the concepts you might, like at first glance, you might think that it would go over their heads. And some teachers in my district have started with Unit 2 and then gone to Unit 1. But I like starting with that really tough unit. Let's just do it. Let's get out of the way and let's connect it to the government in our classroom, and let's set it up, and let's talk about rights and what are your rights as a student, things like that. There's a lot of parallels that I like to make for my kiddos. Pamela, don't do that to yourself. She's doing Unit 1, Week 1, and it took her 3 weeks to do it. So I don't know if you're new to the group, but you totally don't need to do every lesson. They spiral like crazy. So just pick and choose what you want to do, and if you don't get to it, oh well, just move on. Otherwise, the stories just get too boring if you're reading it like a zillion times. Also for Unit 1 for 3rd grade, Week 3, the story was pretty much the same thing as Week 2. So it was all about like people winning the right to vote. And it was like, we just learned about this last week. So for the 3rd week with that new text, we just focused on Asian Americans, Native Americans, and Mexican Americans, because the text the previous week was about African Americans and women gaining the right to vote. So we just focused on those parts of it. So don't feel like you need to read the entire text. You can totally just use what you want. Pick and choose what you want. You're welcome, Pamela. What else? Tiffany, if I wanted to grade their consumable booklets at the end of a unit, is there a rubric somewhere for that? So I graded them just based on my, towards the end of the year, I would collect their consumables and I would grade them based on the way that they annotated. Because in the beginning of the year, it's going to be a lot of happy faces and sad faces, because that's how they can connect with the text. Oh, I like this part, I don't like this part. Towards the end of the year, their annotations become more developed, a little more mature, and so that's what I'm looking for whenever I'm grading. And then also there's the build, reflect, write assignments in the back there. You can also have them, like, give them a piece of paper and have them answer that essential question at the end of the unit. Last year it was kind of fun. I had a bulletin board just for the essential question, and at the end of each unit I gave them one of those large index cards, and they had to answer the essential question based on whatever they learned throughout the unit. And then I stapled each index card up there. So I had 24 index cards. I had like 11 and 13, second graders and third graders, with the essential question above it. And then with each unit, I just changed out the question, gave them their new index card, and then I stapled that index card on top of the other one. So by the end of the year, I had, you know, a number of index cards that you could flip through so you could see what they learned. So that was a very long-winded answer. Sorry, Tiffany. But you can, I don't know if there's a rubric for grading those consumable booklets, but you can kind of just use those for whatever you want to see. The weekly assessments, Janine, yeah, are in the weekly and unit assessments book, or you can go online, click on your grade, your unit, scroll down to assessments, and then you'll see all of them. You'll see the actual PDF version of the book that you have, and then you'll also see the e-assessments. So those are the ones you can assign online. Oh yeah, Maribel, that's another good point. Unit 1 in the beginning of the year is nice because that's usually when you're doing student council. At school-wide, if you've got a student council, it's also when you're assigning your own class jobs. So you can definitely tie in some of those concepts that they're learning about. I'm glad you love my annotation posters. Someone asked me today if I would add a couple more annotations to those posters, so I will be updating those soon. As soon as I get a chance. You might want to re-download them. A few more symbols in there. Mandy, how do you spice up each week? Our district is just starting Benchmark Advance, and right now I feel like it is strongly teacher-led without a lot of I do, we do, you do. Totally. In the beginning of the year, it's all you. Because it's hard and it's different. I spice it up by bringing in Project GLAD strategies. So, which I will share on here as I go throughout the year with you. So if you're not trained in Project GLAD, you've never heard of it, you can at least see what it looks like and do it if you want to do it. It makes it a lot more fun for me and a lot more collaborative. I have a download for free on my TPT I presented to my district at the beginning of this year. It was how to align every unit in Benchmark to Project GLAD, and basically how you would strategies for melding them. So that's a fun download. Even if you're not trained in Project GLAD, you can download that and see pictures from every unit. I take a lot of pictures of my kids throughout the year. So I have pictures from more towards the end of the year, like units probably 5, 6, like and on. But I have a lot also from unit 3, a few from unit 2, 4. So those might give you some good ideas too. Tiffany, Project GLAD, what does it stand for? Guided Language Acquisition Design. I think that's what it stands for. But basically, it's a lot of posters, creating posters and anchor charts, which I love because I'm in a district that doesn't really, hasn't really made that step yet for technology. Like we just got a laptop set that we have to share amongst all of us from our middle schools because they're done with them. But so So I love Project Glad because it's just a lot of charts, and you know, it's not good if you have your fire marshal visiting you, but I love the way it looks, just charts everywhere. It's a lot of focus on vocabulary, and it's very collaborative. It's so extensive, and I feel like it would need another Facebook group just for that. There probably is one, but I'll share with you what I'm doing as I go. Wanda, right now the annotation symbols that I have are the basic ones that could be used across all grade levels, but with each grade level there are going to be more annotation symbols. And also with each unit, like some units that focus on lessons on sequencing have symbols for that specifically. And so I tried to just use the broad symbols that they could apply to any text, regardless of the theme or what lesson you're teaching. Trying to see if I'm answering everyone's questions. I'm going to try to take video this week of a couple of my lessons. One being the sensory details lesson from the Ballad of John Henry, and I'm going to try to film that one. I am going to use a big poster board for that. All right, guys, it looks like questions have slowed down, so if there's anything else, I'll wait a minute or two. Hi. Does your district use thinking maps? If so, have you implemented them in place of the benchmark graphic organizers? I do have like the thinking maps posters up in my room. I do like thinking, sometimes I like thinking maps better than the organizers that we have in benchmark. Like for example, I used the cause effect thinking map, not the one with the bubbles, but just the basic rectangles. I use that instead of the benchmark organizer. I still use circle maps a lot, tree maps. Elena, it's just whatever, just questions. I started the video off talking about small groups, just trying to wrap my head around what my new plan is because I've changed my small groups. But now we're just talking about whatever. Susan, so if you're just tuning in, as soon as I end this live video, it will be on the Facebook wall, and you can go back and rewatch it, and it'll also be under our videos tab. That goes for any of our live videos. You're welcome. I guess so, Jennifer. I need my camera girl there. I guess I'm teaching sensory details to both of our classes so that my partner can film me. My best piece of advice for newbies is to just stay positive. That's really what I've founded this group on, because there's so much negativity and complaining, and it's just gonna make you shut down, and you're not gonna give it a shot. It's a really awesome program, and it's different, and it takes some getting used to. Just don't overwhelm yourself. Pick and choose, and then see what you like and what works well for your teaching style, for your kids, and just have fun with it. Don't overwhelm yourself. Yeah, the charts are awesome because you can draw the pictures and you can kind of cheat and project the image from your text for close reading onto your whiteboard. I have a video of this on how I do it. And you could draw illustrations that are in their books. And then so when the kids see the poster, they're like, oh, how did you draw that? Megan, what district are you in? So cool. Someone asked me to do a PD for them. I was like, I'm just a third grade teacher, but sure. Oh, the listening center. That's a good option for a center. So when you do a listening center, do you have the old cassette tapes? Is that what you do, or do you have them listen on the the Benchmark website. Susan, yes. Sorry this is all over the place, guys, but these are good questions. Do you pull out other grade level books for small groups? Totally. Last year I pulled all the way down to first grade, specifically for the technology unit. I remember my really high kids read the Robert Ballard text from 3rd grade. I might have even had a text from 4th grade, and then my real low kids read the Jacques Cousteau text from 1st grade. And I just borrowed it from other teachers at my school. But if you don't have enough to share amongst yourselves, or you don't have a teacher that says collaborative, you can access all of the grades online. And I know there was a post about printing those small readers off the website, and I think someone said it worked better if you print from Mozilla, but otherwise they print a little funny, FYI. My intro for Unit 2, thank you, I love that poster. That's smart. Direction pages for small group center ideas and sticking them in a clear sleeve and then just trading out when I want something else. Yeah, that's kind of what my idea was with these guys. I just laminated them so I could write on them. I have a page in this file, if you want to download it for free off my TPT. It has the centers that I'm doing, like the title, and then it's just blank so that I can write down their instructions for what to do when they get to that center. You're welcome, Crystal. Oh yeah, Panama, Buena Vista. There's a lot of you guys in here, huh? I use the text on Benchmark and to add organizer and post-it note summaries for your listening center. Yeah, that works. I will statements. I like that. Kid-friendly directions. Every day this past week when I went over each center, I don't know why I didn't bring them home, but I had the page that went with that center, and I wrote it with my marker as I taught them. And so they could see what each bullet point meant so that when I put them up next week, hopefully they know what to do. Let's see here. And for my small groups, for the first couple rounds, I'm just basing them on Lexile levels. We use SRI computer program that tests them all at the same time. It's really nice, but eventually I want to be a really, really good teacher and use guided reading like Benchmark suggests with their quick check assessments, also available online. And actually assign each student a guided reading level letter and then form my groups based on that. If any of you all are doing that, let me know how that goes and how long it takes you to assess. I remember when I was with LAUSD, we did guided reading level at my school site, and it took, every 6 weeks we reassessed, and it took a week to assess everyone in our small groups. But I love guided reading levels because you can really see growth. With Lexile levels, I have a hard time understanding them. There's such a range. So I'm always like, is that grade level? Is that not? Even when you guys are one-to-one, will you still be doing the Project GLAD anchor charts? We are one-to-one, but creating the charts with them is so powerful. I would still do the charts. I'm not sure what you use your Chromebooks, I'm assuming, for in your classroom, but Project GLAD is just great. Like, the charts are great for introducing new concepts, big ideas. So my character map, you always have some kind of picture in the middle. So for characters, I just did a quick, like, ambiguous figure. And then you bring in the color coding. That's a big component of GLAD. And then vocabulary. So my vocabulary words that I focused on were, let me start up here, motives, actions, consequences. And then on the other side was problems, challenges, and lessons and solutions. And so those vocabulary words and what those big ideas can be applied to every single text. So I'm definitely doing that. And for Unit 3, the chart I make is on the desert biome. That actually has a lot of neat, interesting pictures. We talk about interdependence, and the words that I use are like primary consumers, secondary consumers. I already forgot the words. It's been like a year. You know what I mean. But and then you have that up, your whole unit, and the kids can refer back to that. And then I imagine whatever they're doing on whatever tasks they have on their Chromebook, they can still reference those charts. I think they are very powerful. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, I'm going to stay on for 3 more minutes till 4:45. How about that? And then I'm going to go make my family some dinner. So if you have any questions, get them in fast. If any of you like the idea of an art center, I'll keep you posted with what I'm doing if I end up doing an art center. Because at the LACMA training that I had on Tuesday, it was wonderful. One strategy is literally just put a piece of artwork in front of them, have the kids look at it for 15 seconds, and then jot down what they saw and what they noticed, and then have them look at it for 30 seconds, jot down what they saw, and then have them look at it for us adults, it was 4 minutes. So with the kids, you might do like a minute. And then they really start to analyze those pictures and then refer to them when they're speaking about them as, you know, as evidence, which is totally Common Core. So I want to bring in a little bit of that. I always do a big Frida Kahlo unit every year anyway, so I might do that. And then in Unit 2, Week 3, for 3rd grade, we have Snow White, a Russian folktale, and one of the lessons is how illustrations convey mood. So that's totally art. So I'm going to bring in some artwork that week also. We are supposed to do 1 quick check per reading group. I'll let you know how it goes. Oh yeah, Barb, we did, for our district, we do 1 quick check per trimester. But it's just 1. So if they pass it, you don't actually take them to the next level, which is kind of funny to me. So we'll do like level, I don't know, M or N. And then if they pass it, great. And if they don't, you don't go down either. So it's kind of funny. You could do a sensory details chart with the art prints. Yeah. Good idea, Jennifer. One person a day. So if you do 1 person a day and you have a class of 25, then you're assessing for 25 days per group. So basically, are you just assessing year round? You do 1 student one day, 1 student the next day, and then just keep going, don't take a break? That might be more manageable. But then how would you restructure your groups? And Barb, are you just using the guided reading level tests on Benchmark? Huh. All right, you guys. I'm gonna sign off. Quick check. Okay. Barb, keep me updated because I want to know how you do that and how you manage that, because I really do want to start doing that. Maybe after a cycle of 5 or 6 weeks, I'll message you. Help. Okay, guys. Thank you. I will talk to you soon. I'm going to go through, add links, answer any of your questions. That way people who don't watch the video can look at the comments and hear some answers, see some answers. And then I'm going to go make dinner for myself. So I'll have to know you on here. I will be back next Sunday at 4 p.m. Every Sunday, 4 p.m. I almost didn't make it today because we drove back from San Diego today. But my husband was like, no, you need to be consistent. So I said, okay. So he's out doing the grocery shopping like every Sunday with our baby so that I can have the house to myself. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.